It was the Lions emphatically going down to Collingwood by 52 points at the Gabba on Thursday Night Football. The best analyst in football is here to do it alongside of me. David King's his name. Kingy, good morning.
Morning, Cornsey. It was a great battle, actually, wasn't it? Coming into this game, you're looking at Collingwood thinking, okay, all your defensive numbers are through the roof. Best team in the competition without the footy, which is my number one indicator of a good team, of a team that can make it to prelim week, if not beyond. And they are the best at denying the opposition their ball movement and denying them scores once they go in their forward 50. So I wanted to see whether that stood up against Brisbane on the road. Well, did it stand up? My God. Kept them to 37 inside 50s, which is Brisbane's lowest, if you take out 2020, because they were shortened games. That's their lowest total for 8 years.
Yep,
that is a
2017.
demolition.
It is a demolition, isn't it? I mean, it was amazing to see how the Lions just couldn't penetrate. And they did force them back and slow and then eventually forced the kick down the line, and they couldn't win a contest forward of the ball, I don't think. Certainly their key forwards struggled to win that. Probably that contest on the wing, and then Collingwood's ability to win that ground level ball and go from there is what they've done so well in the last 5 weeks of this season. So your ability to bring the ball to ground, win the contest, and then get out of that contest and go back to a disorganised defensive system for the Lions was as good as I've seen for a long, long time. They're in ripping form.
So can I put this on the radar really early? I think this is where, and there's a lot of slows on the fact that they're an ageing list and they're an experienced list. And there is a downside to that regarding injury and the propensity for injury and the long-term nature of most of those injuries at that age bracket. But if they can hold up, right, and rest appropriately through the year, stack the wins early in the season, then there's no reason why Craig McRae can't do things with this list that other teams can't. I mean, how organised they were last night, particularly behind the ball, they all just understand the game. There are so many guys with 100-plus games experience that understand situational play, what's required when, whether to go fast or slow, and what the game gives you. They don't take excessive risks, turnover game in great order because no one's making calamitous mistakes. I just think it's an asset that we're not talking about enough. And in terms of their work, I think defensively this is where Craig McRae is using it the most. The ability to leave Darcy Moore now on the second best or third best opposition forward so that he can roll across. We've seen that. That's not revolutionary. We've seen that way back when with Alex Rance and the like. But what it has done, so Horney's tracking ball speed, right? And he's been hot on this for the last few weeks. And it's something very new. They committed the slowest ball movement game since 2019, Brisbane, last night. Now, they're a take mark, turn, playing with your eyes, make a decision, release ball. That's them. Go. Just constant movement, constant motion. They couldn't do that last night. And I just wonder whether you can do that with a young team defensively. I don't think you can because you have holes, you make mistakes, young players run to the wrong spots. They're still learning. So I think this is a real asset, Cornsey, that we're not talking about.
Yeah, and the point that you made around banking the wins and being able to manage the group is exactly what they are going to have to do. Still, Sidebottom spoke after the game. He's like, well, they were going to sub me out, but they had the issue with Darcy Moore. So they're going to do that a lot. They're going to start Pendlebury as a sub, which they've done at times, or sub him out. Same with Sidebottom. Membry gets a rest last night. The way that they're going to need to manage Jordan De Goey is going to be really interesting. He's been out for one, in for one, out for one, in for one, so they're going to have to get some continuity with him. But if you bank those wins, that gives you the luxury to do that. And to get 2 big road wins now, like 2 in a row, who thinks you can go to Adelaide and beat Sydney as convincingly as what they did, then the following week go to Brisbane, because they're going to play a stack of games at the MCG. We know that on the way home. Coming up for the Pies, they've got Essendon, Anzac Day, Geelong, Fremantle away, and Adelaide at the MCG. So it's another really tough stretch before they go North Melbourne, Hawthorn, and Melbourne into the break. So they're in a great position. And, I didn't think they would be here at the start of the year. I've got to put my hand up and say that. It's still definitely a watch on how this group holds up.
Everything's a watch,
we've never seen a team this old. So this is definitely a watch. This is unusual to go into the season with a group this old and with a group that has had as many injuries as they've had. And there's so many of those. So I think it's definitely fine to say that it is a watch. But as I said...
Can't guess health, though, can we? That's one thing we can't guess.
A prediction of health is what you've done in the past. And when you've got Elliott, when you've got Mycheck, when you've got McStay, when you've got Howe, when you've got Moore, that have all had significant injuries, the Degoe, the biggest precursor to injuries, have you had injuries before? And age. So there's two there. So at some point they're going to be tested. But Houston's still to come back. Schultz still to come back. Membry will come back in, and they will be able to manage the squad. Have you say 1300 736 736. So the Brisbane's...
We need to have the chat about Dacos.
What he
did last night was just ridiculous.
Ridiculous. So I just want to play this from Chris Fagan, who spoke at halftime to Channel 7. Let's have a listen.
Gone one-on-one with Nick Dacos. Do you go with a hard tag in the second half?
Yeah, we will. We'll put Berry to him. We tried something that didn't work all that well, to be honest. So Berry will go to him in this quarter.
We tried something that didn't work all that well, to be honest.
Yeah.
The plan was definitely to try and expose him the other way. And
team tag.
Whether it was, team tag, but also whether it's the winger Bailey goes to him and then at stoppage you make him defend the other way, which clearly the best players in the game are vulnerable to doing. It was a absolute disaster.
He's going to create disasters, though, isn't he? He is a disaster to try and plan against Nick Dacos. Even when they were on him, because of such speed and power, his first three, when he lowers the hammer, when he drops the hammer, I should say, and goes, there isn't a player in the comp that can go with him. That centre bounce break that he did and almost took a bounce and took the piss as he straightened up and drove it long. I think McStay marked it, top of the goal square. That was, hey, you can't go with me. That was more than just one passenger play. That was a statement. I know you can't travel the way I'm going.
There was a look about him last night that Pies fans have watched him probably closer than us, but there was a look about him just in terms of his body language I'm talking about, when he was on the interchange bench and he was celebrating, he was fist pumping, and there was like a real sort of F you attitude like that. I hadn't probably seen that killer instinct. There was feeling in the game, and the game for large portions of the first half was closer than what the end result was clearly, and it was on there for a bit. There was Maynard, there was physical, there was free kicks off the ball, and he was as animated as I've seen, which had me thinking, and I was going to put this on the agenda later on, how long until he's the captain of this team? Like, is it next year? Like, I just watched him last night and thought, you are the captain of this team. And when is the right time to pull the trigger on that? That will be his next and maybe only challenge. How can he lead a group like that? But he looked like captain all over him last night.
Yeah, I don't know about the captaincy ones is there for him, isn't it? Whenever he's ready.
Next year, he's ready now.
There's
next
no
year.
hurry. I mean, Darcy's
the way that he speaks, the way that he presents, he's
Moore
the face of this club. Moore speaks well, but if you're watching these two play, like he's the captain.
What about this? I want to get back to him specifically, right? Because there's things that he does that no one else in the game really does. Well,
Ablett Jr. did this stuff.
Not at this speed.
Oh, I reckon he did.
Ablett did it with that hunch that he had, always ready to kick, Gary. Always ready to kick. This guy's slicing runs through traffic. He gets himself from inside to out. He did it 4 or 5 times last night. That they had 5 guys around him. Next thing you know, he's in clear air. You go, how is he doing this?
He won that one across half back. There's a long ball down the line. He won it across that, and then Pendlebury ended up kicking it inside forward 50. But Judd had the raw power and speed, but not probably the agility.
Yeah.
So it's the low centre of gravity, the agility, and the power to get from inside to outside, and what that does.
He's the best into-out player in the comp right now. There's no doubt about that. And 12 score involvements. I mean, they only scored 25 times, so he's involved in half their scoring last night. I mean, what a player. And we're talking about resting players and all those sorts of things. I just wonder at some point, do you need to just, because he's been one that's been, I mean, he was 6 votes in front of the Brownlow a couple of years ago and then got an unlucky collision injury.
Yep.
He'll be one that they have to just manage later in the year as well. But I'm looking at what Sidebottom's still doing, Pendlebury's still doing it. The impact of Long on this midfield is the domino effect of what he's been able to do since coming in has allowed more outside ball for all of those guys. And they are a much better product as a midfield since Long's come in.
Yeah, he spent a lot of time on Lockie Neal last night and did a pretty good job. the Brisbane side of things, is it just one of those ones where every game for them is going to be the opposition coming after you? And Craig McRae has said as such, when you win the premiership, there's a bit of a tax on that and everyone gets themselves up to play against you. They looked weary last night. They couldn't run. They had nothing from their midfield, which was smashed early. And the amount of scores from stoppage was a concern for them. We just write this one off, don't we, for the Lions?
Yeah. They banked the wins, right? So no one's coming for them. I'm just nervous.
Don't need to start from scratch.
Nervous
Lions?
about getting a word wrong here or something. Make a headline. But if you compare so prior to last night, their intercept game had gone from number 1 in the comp to number 8 in the first 5 weeks. Their forward 50, number 3 to number 14. Their lock-in game, the front half game, which they're famous for, from number 2 in the comp to number 9. Their centre bounce work's not working. It's not. They've had 76 centre bounce clearances now for 3 goals. So everyone says, life after Joe. No, they got enough time. Joe is still a big loss in that forward
Joe's
50
a big
because
loss.
That quick ball that comes from stoppage usually went to Joe. It's not going to Joe now. It's going to lesser talent. And there's some teething pains. Now, no one's putting a line through them because they're a star-studded list and they'll gather and go when the time's right. But it's a fair way from where it was. So just put that little asterisk on it.
Why with Cam Rayner? They got so many talented players that didn't have an impact last night. Bailey and Cameron and Rayner, and I understand you get the lowest entries for 8 years. That's going to be a problem for the forwards. But why can't Cam Rayner consistently impact as a centre bounce player? Why? He's got everything that he needs to do that and be one of the most devastating players in the game. And he's so good overhead, and he looks magnificent. But then he touches the footy. How many times Cam Rayner touched the footy last night? Nine touches. Yeah. This guy's been in the system for 8 years.
That's him though, isn't it?
But why? Why is that? What is that? Is that just his lot? Is that what he's going to be? Like he's going to win 2 games a year off his own boot, and then for the other 10, he's going to have between 9 and 15 touches and kick a goal, and then there'll be some other games where he plays a little bit better than that. What is that? Just his lot?
Yeah, I think it is.
Really?
I think it is. Yeah, they got better options in the centre bounce. I mean, McCluggage is a better option than Rayner at centre bounce. Neil's a mainstay, and then you got the Ashcroft boys. They've got to. I'll tell you what they've got to do early. And Levi's a young player, very young player, just making his way. They've got to start working with him now on getting himself from inside to outside, becoming a leg driver and a handball giver or a creator. The dump kick is the cardinal sin of clearance players, and because all they did was put the game back into the Pies' hands. It was a strange game because it was low pressure and low turnover, really low turnover, like 45 and 46. You're normally up around 70 each. So it was a strange game. It wasn't your standard game. So it's
28 tackles, Brisbane lay 28.
Yeah, because it was a weird game. Like
sometimes teams lay 100. They've laid 28. Collingwood 33.
It was like all the pressure was where you wanted to go. It was all destination pressure. So you look up and you want to kick the ball, but you can't. So you hold it, and just it was a big game of chess rather than an absolute contest. So this is why we're not drawing any large conclusions from this game in terms of the Brisbane Lions, because it'll be an outlier. There's no doubt about that. But I think there's a bit of scope for improvement with the Lions.
All right, last week, Kingy had Brodie Grundy in the gun. Pretty solid he was, despite the loss.
Yeah, yep. Solid. Gets away with it. Who'd you have in the gun?
I had Michael Voss in the gun.
That's right.
And not sure we learnt a whole lot out of that. I also had the big lobster in the gun.
Woof, woof. Have you seen what he's done this week? I like this week's.
Yeah.
I do like this week's.
Strategic effort from the lobster
for
this
a
week.
For a cause.
For a good cause.
We like that.
So he's not in the gun this week.
Will you donate some money on the lobster's charity fundraising page?
I'll have to look at the link and who it's.
Be a nice gesture.
It would be a nice gesture.
I know you don't like the part with the folding, but it would be a nice gesture.
.com, Australia's leading online auction marketplace. Kingy, who's in the gun this week?
Well, in the gun for me is Andrew McQualter. And I'm having a look at the West Coast Eagles and saying, okay, they don't have this, they don't have that, they don't have this. No problem. But they've won 1 quarter of football for the year. One quarter of football
against the Lions,
for the year. The first quarter against the Lions way back in round 3. Outside of that, they have not won one individual quarter for the year.
Damn.
They've lost 15 in a row. Last week was poor. 77 contested possessions. We talked about that being a world record. In over 5,000 games of football, that is the poorest contested possession game we've seen. Now, I just wonder what were their expectations at the start of the year. Where did they see this group? How competitive did they see this group? Obviously, it's a year of resetting and rebuilding. What was the vision that he sold to the board to get the gig and to say, okay, this is year one. This is what it looks like. It's got to be better than one quarter of football. And I'm not here to win games or anything like that, but they've got the Essendon Football Club tonight who give you a chance. If nothing else, they give you a look. Now, are they going to set this team up properly that's going to give them more opportunity than 77 contested possessions? At home, Friday night footy, they've got to show us something, whether it's tactical, motivational, whether it's personnel changes. Kelly's back, McGovern's back. They got Elijah Hewitt back into the team, picked 14 from a couple of years ago, and the ruckman in Flynn. So this is a better team than last week. Show us something. Set a small goal to win
a quarter.
1 quarter of footy.
Win a damn quarter. Oscar Allen has been, I don't know, managed /
Going
dropped
awful anyway,
/
so
can't get near it.
I just want them to win 1 quarter of football.
Big Peter Wright is back in for the Bombers. Nick Bryan, of course.
Is that fair?
Unfortunately. Yeah, of course. Of course it's fair.
Kangas won 20 last year. They were the lowest quarters won team. So even if you're a really poor team, you should win 1 every 4 or 5.
All right. Speaking of the Kangas, who's in the gun? Well, the Kangas are in the gun. I'm putting them in the gun for, once again, the statement that they released on social media, which read, is the mass exodus in the room with us right now? Locked in long term, Simpkin, Larkey, Sherry, Zerha, Sheasel, and LDU. I don't think that's the flex they thought it was, Kingy. I don't think that's the flex that the Kangaroos thought it was. Building the club around Zerha to 2029, Simpkin to 2029, LDU for 1.7 for 7 years.
Oh, 1.7.
Of course
That's
they're going to...
ridiculous.
1.3 for 7 years. Of course they're going to stay when those sort of offers are on the table.
No,
Is that
no.
the group? Is this the group you want to build your future around long term? Sheasel, yep, no problem. Larkey, no problem. The rest, I'm going, I'm not sure that's the group that's going to drive this club forward to its next premiership. Zerha, Sherry, Simpkin.
Sherry?
And, yeah.
What's wrong with Sherry?
Nothing's wrong with him, but he's just a good,
He's
solid...
Australian contender last year.
There's nothing wrong with him at all, but he's a good, solid ruckman who has a
Better
crack
than
and has
that.
a dip. He's a Darcy Cameron ruckman, really good ruckman, really one of the best ruckmen in football, top 5, no worries about that. But is that the flex you thought it was going to be to build the whole of the future of the footy club around those names? It's just a watch.
Oh, I think I don't know what your point is. Is it a flex?
What do you mean? It's a
Is it
flex.
a flex?
They've gone to social
I
media
don't know if it's a flex.
and said locked in long term with the 5 or 6 players with their arms folded and their chest puffed out, locked in long term. Here we go. We're ready to roll now because we've got these guys signed.
Well, it's better than not having them signed, isn't it? That's what they're saying.
Of course they're going to sign for the figures that you've been throwing around for the
I
likes
don't
of...
know about that. You got to. I can't wait till you have this same discussion about Zach Butters. I cannot wait because
Zach Butters and Zerha.
LDU and Butters.
Well, look at the record. Look at Butters' record versus what's LDU ever done?
So
What's he ever done?
So that level of player internally is what I'm saying. So Port Adelaide's opinion of Zach Butters would be the same as the Kangaroos' opinion of LDU. It would be.
Really?
I can't wait. I just cannot
Zach
wait.
Butters, he's won a Coaches Association. Well, he's a multiple All-Australian. We can't compare him to
The offers
LDU.
that LDU was getting will be similar to the offers that Butters gets.
You got to give the ballers what they want, Kingy. And the ballers want to talk about
What do they want, mate?
thoughts on the Hawks on first crack.
Well, I reckon they're going awfully with the footy. Awfully. And that was the point we raised. It got written up differently to what I would have preferred in terms of the headline.
Give me the fly on the wall view of the discussion you had with the social media.
No.
You will! You will! Come on.
You know what?
That
Anytime
is
you
his
can
best
play
work,
that, anytime
Geordie.
you can play that, Geordie, feel free. No, it was just. I appreciate the headline. Terrific. It says round 6. Can we just back off a fraction? You know. We just had a chat about their ball use, and it was nothing more than that. And it is a real problem for Sam Mitchell. And let's talk seriously about the Hawks for a moment, because Monday is a massive game. And the secret to beating teams is not lost on people like Chris Scott. So do you think he's going to allow Hawthorn to bring the ball in with those 20-metre diagonal kicks out of half-back or through the wing area? No way. So if this works again, they either have to change personnel or tinker with the system. And that's what we're talking about. So we're only 6 weeks in. There's plenty of time to gather and go. But you're comparing that to what other teams are already embedding where they want to be.
So the back to square one, just to clarify, was back to square one with the way they're moving the football, not back to square one.
No, back to square
start again type thing.
That's ridiculous.
Sort of some people.
So the nuffs on Twitter. Yeah, I'm not here for them. But
well, sometimes you are. I do like it when you engage.
I'm happy to engage. Yeah. I like to sort of. It do get some entertainment out of the odd nuff, but that wasn't start the whole thing again. It's more about their ball movement model. It's probably bottom 5, bottom 6 in the competition right now, which is a long way from where it was last year.
Can I put something on the agenda? And it was this intense sort of staring match between Chris Fagan and Dane Zorko with some words exchanged. Chris was asked about this post-match.
He was a bit hot under the collar at the time. I just said, mate, you better calm down. Just calm down. So it wasn't anything more than that. I don't know whether it looked like it was any more than that, but it certainly wasn't.
There was some words exchanged.
That's all I basically said to him. Just calm down, mate.
Was that a critical time in the game, do you feel, though, when that went down?
Yeah, it probably was. But, I'm not going to say that's why we lost.
Not why they lost, but Chris Fagan played this beautifully, mind you. Like he was very much in control. And if you're going to coach from the boundary line, that's exactly the reason that you're there for. My criticism goes to Dane Zorko, who's had so many of these moments over the course of his career, and he's got the premiership now, and he's got the 5 best and fairest and all of that. But should he be better? So he gave away the reversal for abuse to the umpire, and then he got run down from behind from a terrific chase from Bobby Hill, I think it was. Turnover cost a goal. Chris Fagan he's come to the interchange bench. He just said exactly that. Calm down. And Zorko's body language was awful, and then he sort of sat on the bench with his hands behind his head and just thought it was for a 35-year-old former captain, such high status in the game. He's had a lot of those moments, hasn't he, over the journey, Dane?
We differ with this sort of stuff, right?
Okay.
I don't mind that he's so invested that he borderline gets irrational at times.
Well, even giving away off the ball free kicks for abuse.
That's part of the package. Some of the greatest players in the game give away the most free kicks because they just get so passionate about winning. And when they can feel it sliding, that game was going anyway. The game was gone. So I understand that they just sometimes go too far and they make a little statement when the team's already frustrated. It didn't cost them the game. It didn't really have a bearing on the game. I love the passion. I love the investment. The investment in winning sometimes tips you to that.
Yeah, and look, I don't want to, because he's one of my favourite players in terms of he gives incredible access to the media and he's always honest. And I'm sure if he was sitting right here, which he does some stuff for SEN Queensland, he would say, in hindsight, I probably needed to be better. But it just happens so often with him. So maybe you're never going to get it out of his game.
Never going to get it. How old is he now? 36?
He's like 30, turning 36, I think, at the end of the year. Like I think he's
It's
the fourth
going
oldest.
nowhere, mate.
He's the 4th oldest player in football right now. But I don't know, if I was his teammate, going, gee, stop carrying on. Like, come on, you can't be reacting like that to your coach. Like the shake of your head, the raise of the eyebrows to poor old Chris Fagan, who's trying to just calm him down.
I was thinking last night as I was looking at that thing, imagine if you had done that with Dennis. My God. He'd be on the next plane. Gone.
He just would not
He'd fly.
dare.
He'd have you out of the joint in 5 minutes.
All right, anything else on your agenda?
Yeah. Some players, when they play, right? So I'm looking at Gorgeous Georgie Wardlaw, right? He comes into this lineup today and he attacks the ball with a ferocity that is unlike any other player at North Melbourne, right? And I think they all believe they're going hard and they're being honest at the contested game and honest with clearances and trying to break out and get the game from inside out, that they're doing all of that, right? They think that they're doing all that. This guy comes in and does it 25% harder than all of them. And I think they all go, sheesh, is that how hard we got to go? Is that the standard? Oh, wow. And then he lifts the whole thing. I think that the impact of this guy, and until you see it today, and I hope he gets through healthy and is in good form today, I think he challenges them all to get tougher. And there's some players in the league that do that. You would have played with guys that the walk taller discussion, you play a different way because they're out there.
Yep.
And they challenge you to do things at levels that you're uncomfortable with.
Who was it for you?
Oh, I just used to marvel. I could never go anywhere near it, but I used to
Steve-O?
marvel at how reckless Glenn Archer was.
Oh, yeah.
Just had no fear for his body.
Anthony Stevens as well.
Steve-O's crazy. But Arch would just throw his body
Ridiculous.
into packs and you think, mate, why are you doing that?
Ridiculous.
This guy's that. Yourself? You have one?
Josh Carr probably for me. Josh Carr and Damien Hardwick were as
Damien
tough as I
Hardwick. That's a
ever
good
played
one.
with.
Dimmer's a good one.
I mean, Byron Pickett was at a different level with some of the stuff he had done. So
Some of the texters out there, you watch your own team. They watch their team closer than we watch. We're skimming 18 teams. They're watching theirs day in, day out. Who are we missing? Who are we missing in the competition right now that raises the bar, whether it's in intensity to run or involvement, in investment in the game, you're talking about Zorko, or just sheer toughness? Who are we missing?
let us know, 0433 98 11 16. And just on the agenda, they are calling Melbourne's forward line for this game the worst forward line ever. That's what they're saying.
Who is?
Social media, I've seen a number of tweets on Melbourne's forward line, selected forward line. So granted, they don't always line up where they are selected on the team sheet. But Tholstrup, Fullerton, Pickett, Spargo, Turner and Chandler, they are calling the worst forward line
Oh, that's a bit
of
harsh.
all time.
Give them a chance to have a go
It's up
first.
there. What I'm just suggesting and putting on the agenda, don't put Petty forward. Please do not put my man Harrison Petty forward. He played there all of last year and kicked 9 goals. And Simon Goodwin's big trick at halftime last week, what are you going to do, Goody? Can't score again? Oh, we're going to put Harrison Petty forward. Oh, whoop-de-doo. Harrison Petty's going to go forward. Please do not put the man you should have traded for 2 first-round draft picks. Do not put him forward.
Max?
He's not a forward.
Happy with Max
He'll
forward?
never be a forward. Do something,
Will
but
it
not
still be
Petty.
the worst forward line ever with Max down there?
Well, I don't know.
Jeez,
but
that's a rough sort of bit of
Tholstrup,
slander before the weekend's
Fullerton,
even played.
Pickett, Spargo, Turner and Chandler. What they are saying, the internet is saying, it is the worst.
Who are
forward line
they? Who are they?
ever selected.
Are they related to Corns?
That was the agenda for
Eddie
Sydney.
Corn?